One of the single biggest things that I get asked is for money. Now, I believe that my personal benefit in being involved in the entrepreneurial community and helping entrepreneurs is knowledge. But most people feel like they just need money. So I thought I'd make a video on the 5 ways to raise money. And I'll try and go into the nuances of raising money, the pros and cons of different ways of doing it, and perhaps it will help you guys out there figure out what is the best way forward to make your business work. Now, if you know anybody out there that's trying to raise money and doesn't know how, maybe share this video with them. I believe that there are many ways to make a business work. And quite often, money, ironically, is not the most important piece. There is an argument that some of the best businesses in the world were started with no money. Eventually they needed money maybe, but ultimately the best ideas in the world don't need money. They need ingenuity, they need innovation, they need people to push them through. But I thought I would share with you the 5 ways. Now, traditionally, getting money when my parents were building their businesses was from the bank. But today, the saying goes that the bank will give you an umbrella, and when it's raining, they ask for it back. But maybe that's where we should start in our quest to find 5 ways to get money to build your dream business. So come with me to the bank. Let's go see what's going on there. This used to be a bank. I thought a bank would be a good backdrop to talk about the 5 ways to raise money for your business today. But ironically, it kind of sums up where the banks are today. This one's closed. It's a pretty good sound effect, I think, for demonstrating that banks are in trouble, really. And they're all on their way to the emergency room. Banks are not going to survive. And frankly, they've not been there for small businesses or entrepreneurs for a very long time. I can't remember the last time I had a conversation with anyone at my bank, and I've been banked with the same bank for 25 years. They just don't care. So how do we raise money in difficult times? Now, I can tell you right now, my top 5 banks weren't even on there. I don't even consider them a source. But let's see if we can find a bank that's at least open to make the backdrop of this conversation about how to raise money for your business a little bit more interesting than boarded up, closed, finished. Central London and walk about half an hour and I cannot find a bank that's open. But I did find a sign that made sense to me. Bank only. So that used to be the only choice for us to raise money for our businesses. But now there are more. So the number 1, I think, on my list of ways to raise money to help your business grow is this: family and friends. Now, I do not throw this suggestion around lightly. I know for a lot of people, raising money from family and friends will come with a lot of complications. I think the rules that you set out when you raise money from family and friends are very important. The first piece, you have to explain that all their money could be lost. That way, if they get any money back from investing in you, it's a bonus, and therefore they're not disappointed or putting pressure on you on a regular basis to return their money. But if you can get the rules right, there are nobody in your universe that know you better than family. And I feel like, therefore, quite often, they're the people that are going to believe in you first, believe in you most, especially at the beginning of a business if it's still very much an idea. So family and friends can be an effective way of raising money. Now, I have been involved in a business with my family, my older brother. It did not turn out well. It was a big mess. And we fell out really for the rest of our lives, I think, because of it. So it's not easy doing business with family and friends, but I do think that if you can get it right, I've had business partners that have become friends, and I have had my business partner in one of my companies, Fluid, become my wife. So I think if you can get the partnership and investment structure done correctly, it can be a very powerful thing. I think I did it wrong in the past. I've learned from those lessons, and I've done other videos on this, but I've learned from my failures. But one of the big lessons I've learned is just being very clear about the rules and making sure, even though they're family and friends, making sure 100% that the agreement between you is clear. Who gets what, who's doing what, and that then I think helps ensure that your friendship gets stronger, and that this sort of friends and family round investment thesis holds tight. Now the second way I think you can raise money is almost the opposite actually to raising money. The second way I think that you can actually build a business is in fact sell your services ahead of time so that you don't need to raise money. Now as an investor in businesses, I feel like I can say this, it's not always a good idea to have an investor in a business. It doesn't always add value and sometimes can distract you. So actually my second tip on how to raise money for your business is to do it via your client relationships, and think about how maybe you can get them to pay in advance for your services, give you a deposit for your services, or even look at ways that they can become part of your growth strategy. So I've actually done agreements with brands where I meet certain milestones in my business, they'll release new income for me. So one of my businesses, for example, we had a partnership with Nissan, the car company, and I said as we opened up in other markets to service their needs, there'd be money there as far as invoicing amounts are concerned that I could tap into the day that we were on the ground in that market able to service them. So that can allow you to grow through not necessarily having to raise money. The third way that I think is effective in raising money in today's universe is crowdfunding. Now for a lot of people, crowdfunding is still a new concept, and there are plenty of different ways in which to do crowdfunding. The early stages of crowdfunding were very much product based. So the method was you shared with people your product, people would then buy into that product in advance, you get that money, and that would allow you to then go and actually build or make that product and then ship it to people, and everything was fulfilled. Now it's evolved a lot since then, and there are many different methods now of crowdfunding. There are equity crowdfunding systems, so that means that you can offer up equity in your company on a platform that then a lot of people can then join and invest, and that's certainly probably becoming one of the most popular new ways to raise money for your business. But I think again, a bit like family and friends and even partnerships with brands suggestion, this third way of raising money has some flaws. First of all, in crowdfunding, you want to be very careful you don't suddenly have 500, 1,000, 2,000 shareholders on your back. You need to structure it carefully and work with brands and platforms that know how to create certain special vehicles or systems to make sure that the shareholders that are buying into your business do understand that they're not necessarily management, and that they can't, for example, walk into your premises and start telling you what to do, or even for that matter make too hardcore suggestions onto you that ultimately cause you to get distracted and lose focus on running the business the way you want to run the business. But I do think crowdfunding is a very effective way in this day and age of raising money that you need. Now for the last two ways of raising money, I kind of want to find a backdrop that I think might inspire you. So let's go and have a look if we can find something to kind of illustrate my points for the last two remaining ways. Now this is North London, and this is a street called Gayton Road. On Halloween, this is the most popular street in London to be entertained. But it can also be pretty scary, which is actually leading me nicely into the fourth way you can raise money for your business. And it is a scary way. And that is to get a formal VC or even angel investor on board into your business. Now, I want to be careful when recommending this to people, because a lot of people like the idea of getting an angel investor in or a VC in to support their business, but these guys might often and do often have a very different agenda to you. Often, not always, these operations have a fund, and those funds have to not only be deployed, but equally they have to be extracted, often on 4 to 8 year cycles. So in other words, you have to perform. And there's a lot of pressure on these organizations to perform, so therefore they put a lot of pressure on founders to perform. Now don't get me wrong, performing can sometimes be a good thing, and having an investor on board that helps you perform can power you up. There are plenty of examples that people that got some amazing investors on board and it revolutionized their business. I could start naming them like Facebook or YouTube and so on. But ultimately, getting an investor on board under this category, under this fourth suggestion, has to be done very carefully. Now, just to add that I will put all the crowdfunding sites that I think are useful to you in the comments below. I will also put in there all the strategy I know around family and friends rounds. I will talk a little bit about how you can build partnerships to ensure that you don't need to raise money. And I will also now, of course, include some of the top VCs and angel investors in my list of links below that might be useful to you. One of the most useful sites, I think, is a site called Angel List, which gives you all the investors that are out there and what they're investing in. But again, my fourth point is you can raise money from a VC, but I do want to warn you, it's not always the best way. And make sure that if you do get a VC or angel investor on board in your business, that your agendas are aligned, they understand your timeline, and that ultimately they also add value and not just put in money. So that's my fourth point. Now, I've got a special treat for you to talk about my fifth idea on how you can raise money for your business today. This street in North London in Hampstead has been credited with what we call Lover's Lane. There's beautiful little houses all the way along it, and when anyone ever walks down here as a couple, they talk about one day wanting to own a house here, and next thing you know, they're married. So I thought it was a fitting backdrop to talk about my final idea on how you can raise money for your business. Now, it's a little hard just to throw out one sentence that explains it, but in a nutshell, I believe that your team can be your best investors. So often when building a business, people will say to me, they need to raise money, and I'll ask them, what do you need that money for? 9 times out of 10, the answer ends up being hiring people. Often it can be hiring a CTO or hiring a marketing person or even bringing in a CEO. And what I always say to people is, well, maybe that profile of person should be your investor. I have personally had a lot of success with this formula. So the formula is simply this. You find someone that could do the role that you're thinking of. And instead of raising money from an investor and then taking that money and paying that person, you come up with an equity partnership deal so that person can join the company, hopefully find a way of still covering their bills, but can then be a part of the company and help you grow it as a partner. That means you don't need an extra investor. It means you don't need to spend time raising money, which can be a big waste of time. And at the same time, it allows the person that's coming in to feel ownership over the new role that they take on. As I say, I have found this to be an incredibly powerful way of building a company and ticking that box of finding the perfect team member while also getting the money that you need. So that's it, folks. That's my 5 tips on how you can raise money in today's age for your business, and I hope you found it useful. If you think any of these insights actually are useful to people you know, I'd be grateful if you shared this video. Equally, if you think I've missed anything or you want to add anything, feel free to comment below. I always reply to comments. And if you need anything from me, any insights, do feel free to let me know what other content you'd like me to produce. I will be live every Monday, Wednesday and Friday from 8 AM till 9 AM London time to help anybody out there that wants to start a business of their own. And a lot of the insights I've shared with you today, I do try to give direct to founders on those download days in the hope that they're useful. So again, please share or like or comment if you feel any of this is useful to you. Thanks so much for listening. Hey Internet, I'm Simon Squibb, your host at the Good Luck Club podcast. Our mission is to help anybody out there that's thinking of starting a business do just that. Equally, if you've started a business and are struggling, maybe you need a little bit of inspiration and knowledge. And we hope by interviewing some of the world's most successful entrepreneurs and change makers that you'll get the knowledge you need to become the person you want and turn your business into that dream company. I personally have started 17 companies from scratch and have invested in over 65 startups. I left school at 15 with near zero education and was able to retire at 40. And when I sat down and analysed how I did it, I discovered a secret. It was all luck. So in each episode, I'm here to tell you, in my opinion, no matter what you're building, shipping, or thinking, without luck, it ain't gonna work. Each week, I will discuss with my guests this theory and test it and see if luck is a skill as I feel it is, and if it's possible to pass it on to the next generation of entrepreneurs. I hope you enjoy our episode this week.